Hey everyone, this is Mike. I'm here with Isaac,
Hello.
and we're here to talk about games. More specifically, we're here to talk about Highguard. The game finally released a couple of days ago from this recording. And, well, as you may or may not know, the reception for the game isn't doing very good right now. Because, obviously, you can tell on Steam. In fact, let me just pull it up right now. Highguard Steam charts. Yeah, at the time of this recording, is that right? No, that's not correct. There. Okay, let this thing load. Yeah, I don't know why Steam is acting like. There we go. 13,000 players, down from 97,000 players, and that's basically an 80 to 90% drop in players. And the week is technically not even over yet. Now, this is obviously a game that has been hyped up by Jeff Keighley, the guy that runs the game show, the Game Awards. He's saying that was going to be a revolutionary new FPS game, and it turned out to basically be a jumbled mess of game ideas wrapped into one. I even did a review on DEIdetected.com basically saying that it was a game that was just too many soups, too many flavors mixed into one soup. It's basically a game experience where they didn't even check to see if the flavors mixed together actually complement each other.
It was a Frankenstein of ideas that just kind of got thrown out to be in a game.
Yeah, basically, it was just in fact, I even say so in like a little review, saying if you played Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, Paladin/Realm Royale, Counter Strike, or Valorant, then congratulations, you basically played Highguard. It's just this weird amalgamation of where you have to go around reinforcing your base, like in Rainbow Six Siege. You have to go around looting the place, like in Fortnite or Apex. The gunplay feels very similar to Apex Legends, although not as good. And then you also have a bombing defusal run mode, just like Counter Strike or Valorant. And it's very weird, and it all doesn't work well together. This is mostly due to the fact that the game is 3v3 at the moment. So you have these wide open maps.
Soon it's gonna be 0 versus 0, but yeah.
I mean, I'll get to that because, funny enough, at the time of this recording, they did actually announce that there's now a 5 versus 5 mode, and that kind of should have been there from the very start, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's still a far cry from what this game really needs, which is, again, it needs a lot more bigger player lobbies. I suggested 10 versus 10 because then it would definitely feel like an actual full-on battle raid. Because you have this whole situation where you're trying to invade other people's bases, but it's only 3 people. It doesn't really feel epic, and people are just being funneled into these choke points. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't play good. It's just awful. Now, I think the biggest situation was the whole defense leading up to this, before and after, with Jeff Keighley basically on social media saying that, yeah, this game is going to be good. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I played it. I loved it. He was making all these gestures on social media. He had this post from, that was, I believe, from Jurassic Park, stating in 24 hours, I will be accepting all of your apologies over this game. And then the next day, everybody was basically flaming Jeff Keighley, saying, yeah, this game sucks, dude. It's just really bad. And the current state of the game, it's just it really feels like a game that wasn't properly tested in the open market. This was a game that was basically made in a bubble. It was you can tell that people did not, actual gamers did not. They had a special play test where they invited some influencers influencers to go try the game out. But from what I've heard from other YouTubers and other people who were actually at the event, that was basically there was no like big names, there was no like Shroud, there was no Summit 1G, there was no like I don't know, like who's another good, like I don't know, like Ninja. Like there were no big time like FPS players that were at the event to really give the game some serious criticism. Because if they did, they probably would have torn this game apart. Because in its current state, it's just incredibly boring. Now, that's also being said, the game was also plagued with performance issues, like fake resolution issues, like stability, like glitches, like connection issues. Connection issues was a big thing for me because it felt like an absolute slog trying to like do damage to enemies because of hit registration. There were so many times where I was landing shots on my opponent and the hits would not register and my opponent would just take me out anyway. Even if I got the drop on them and I unloaded an entire like clip into their heads, they would still turn around and just kill me. It was just not a fun experience at all, having to deal with issues like that. And I mean, I could go on and on about how like bad this game is in its current state, and it's just kind of frustrating because I do see some of the vision, but none of it comes together in a coherent, cohesive manner, and it's just kind of frustrating. But yeah, I know you haven't played the game. I know you basically said like, yeah, this isn't for me, just right out the bat, and it kind of sucks because like obviously as a free to play game, anyone could just jump in and play, but if it's not fun to play just from the outset, like you basically had that kind of opinion, it really goes to show you what the state of this game is in its current state, and really how the developers really should have backed off on this release. They should have basically said that this game is an early access or a beta or whatnot, but they just went full on into like full launch, and I feel that was a big mistake. Like, I mean, yeah, it's really frustrating.
I mean, you basically said everything that needed to be said. At the end of the day, it's just it sounds like you said, this game was kind of built in a bubble without any actual oversight or anybody within those same rooms to challenge each other. And it is kind of weird when you bring up their website, and the website has all of these people that have worked at all of these studio heads and stuff like that. And I dropped my phone. That's not a big deal. But you know, you would think of being in those kind of environments, you would have somebody out there to kind of challenge these ideas and question the decision makings. And do we need to just kind of have all these type of game modes and stuff like that? And it kind of again, it just kind of sounds like every type of Western development team at this juncture right now in terms of trying to get a AAA game out there at the foreseeable moment. So, you know, it's just your typical idea of just this is what happens when you don't have any kind of oversight. This is what happens when you don't really have any kind of quality control in terms of making sure that your game is tested. Like you said, it seemed like they didn't really bring any kind of influencers, and no big name influencers that can really kind of pop the game, because maybe they knew deep inside that this game honestly probably wasn't good. Or maybe they had the delusion that it probably was good because they had, you know, the help of a lot of the game industry faces, like you said, like a Jeff Keighley, trying their best to kind of help promote the game. Which, again, I'm not hating on Keighley on it. He believed in the project. He desperately went to bat for it. I give him credit for that. and now he's getting traumatized for it because it was bad, and he's probably getting ripped to shreds for it. But I'm not gonna hate Keighley for doing trying his best to promote it. You know, like you said, we go back to the video game awards, and he was really pro bono about the project. If he believed in it so much that they were willing to waive the $6K fee to get that game on there, then he probably really did believe on it. So, yeah, there really isn't much to be said about it. It's just another poorly done Western game that's getting right through the mud, and you're probably going to get every YouTube video in mankind trying to bash this game down to oblivion. And
it's just, listen, and I get it. Nobody wants my heart goes out to the developers. I know nobody wants to sit there and watch their work get pummeled on.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough on that. Yeah, you know, you go to work and hopefully to make the best product that you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you have to pull the noise out from all of pull the noise away, like get rid of the noise and dig into the actual critique, because there is legitimate critique among all the noise, and it's up to you to actually use that proper criticism and mold to the game that you feel that it could be, to serve your vision and to the players. Because again, as I've said, there is some potential, but it needs a lot of fleshing out. Again, but the weird thing is just this whole situation is just how so many industry heads are defending this game. Again, you got Cliff Bleszinski, the guy behind Gears of War and the failed Lawbreakers game, openly saying,
"Did he play it?"
No. In fact, that's funny that you mentioned that, because someone on Twitter said, "Well, it's a free game. Why don't you go play it?" And then he simply responds, "I'll have my wife play it. I don't really play video games anymore." That right there basically explains perfectly that you don't have a hit on your hands when the people who are willing to defend it but not willing to actually play it. Like, it's just so weird when you have that kind of mentality of trying to coddle the studio from all the criticism and just try to brush it off as just hate. But
it's not even about hate. It's like, you're telling me you're not going to even spend like an hour just to try to figure out the game. The game is free to play. Like, where you're just hoping to just kind of hope that your word carried any kind of weight and then just kind of move on with your day.
That's not how good games succeed. I mean, it's not like Cyberpunk 2077 where you have a lot of trust to try to get the game back on its feet. This is not like No Man's Sky, where they actually took the biggest beating in gaming history, but they put their heads down and kept working on the game to the point where it's now the biggest underdog story in the gaming industry. Nothing's gonna beat No Man's Sky when it comes to that. This isn't unless they do this, it's not gonna be that underdog story in the making unless they really buckle down and really go forward.
It is kind of upsetting where we are in terms of the gaming industry, where it's like companies can kind of get away with releasing a half-baked product, but then in 2 or 3 years' time, you're going to get the game experience that you should have gotten 3 years ago. Yeah. It's like, really, is that what we're going to have to sit down and champion? Because sure, the game Highguard has an idea, but wait until the next 3 years, it's going to be really, really good. Yeah. What are we accomplishing here on that?
You're not accomplishing anything on that. Again, there's some exceptions to the rule, but not every game should be should have that exception. You got to bring your A game as soon as you release it.
Because, like you said, Cyberpunk was a disastrous launch, but the reason why you were willing to stick with Cyberpunk because your reputation is CD Projekt Red with all the other previous games that they did. So yeah, they had some hiccups, but you were willing to trust in them. I don't know. No Man's
Sky was just a small game that was over. There was an indie game that was overhyped, like it was a AAA game.
Yeah.
So it was filled with bugs and problems and stuff like that. But again, they buckled down. They took all the criticism. In fact, there's a great story behind No Man's Sky. It's definitely recommended. It's called The End-Goodening of No Man's Sky. Definitely recommend people to watch that. For they basically did the biggest turnaround, the most amazing turnaround.
Like they look at their faults and they kind of got their head out. They kind of got out of their own way because it sounds like with them, it sounds like kind of like in Highguard, they kind of were in their own little bubble, thinking that they're.
Oh no, they weren't in their bubble. I think they were just pushed into a position that they weren't prepared for. They weren't prepared for all that stuff, but they wanted like some more exposure and stuff like that. And the game in its current state wasn't ready for prime time. And this is more of a special situation where it's kind of like it was made in a bubble with investor money, but it's still like an indie studio just trying to, they basically took the free publicity from Jeff Keighley. Because who wouldn't take that kind of publicity to get their game out there, So like, because they just wanted to just soft launch the game. I mean not soft launch it.
Go into alpha.
No, they wanted to just do a shadow drop. They didn't even want like a big fanfare at the Game Awards, but Jeff Keighley wanted to give it to them, and this is kind of what happened.
Well, again, maybe internally they probably thought that this game wasn't as good as they thought, and I think so. Who put it on the radar of Jeff Keighley to want that? I guess one of the, I if that's the case, then it sounds like probably one of the investors.
Yeah, maybe try to hook up with the connector.
Try to build connections out of good faith. It seemed like everything was done out of good faith. And again, unfortunately, it completely now backfired on them.
Yeah.
But I think it seemed like one of the investors knew Keighley, and Keighley talked to them and the small development team, and again, hence doing the pro bono, and they said, hey, let's throw in the names of the former executives, former developers of Titanfall 2, and. Again, this is one of those situations where they kind of propped it up. But like you said, if they were really just trying to shadow launch this game, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe them trying to shadow launch the game, maybe they would have the opportunity to have that No Man's Sky moment where, okay, this is kind of our testing ground. And then over time, we can sit down and build the game that we want. Again, I'm not suggesting that's the right way of going at it, because that's lazy. Like that's completely lazy. It'd be nice if you actually had a full product and you actually did your due diligence before releasing it. But maybe that was probably the direction that they were hoping to go with the game.
And as it stands, like, they could try to push forward and just soldier on, because they do have a whole roadmap of what they want to do with the game. Like, they call it basically the major updates are going to be called episodes. Right now, the game is in episode 1. I don't know if it's going to be alive enough to make it to episode 2 or 3. But I guess the one advantage.
May not even make it to episode 1.
I mean, no, it's episode 1 right now. It's in episode 1 right now.
Okay, so it might not make it to episode 1.5.
Okay, but I guess the one advantage is that since they are an indie studio, they can iterate and add things faster than a AAA company can, because, like, again,
it's true.
I mean, the 5v5 mode came really quickly, and that's a good start, but it's a far cry from what this game really should be in terms of just player lobbies and just action and whatnot. It needs a lot of changes. I mean, we'll see at this point. Oh, maybe it'll survive, maybe it won't, but the industry really needs to learn.
Okay, before we really close out, do you feel like this game, because like you said, do you think this game has a shot of turning itself around? Because like you said, it seemed like they were able to add in a mode pretty quickly, or maybe they already had it pre-set up just to kind of gauge your things though. What is your confidence about this team's ability to maybe hopefully turn Highguard into hopefully a decent playing game down the road? Do you see any opportunity of that happening?
Yes, if they can maintain its current player base over 10K, and those there's a good chunk of them are buying into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're willing to actually start listening to people, yes. The fact that the launch day trailer had the comments locked doesn't fill me with confidence though.
Yeah.
Because the moment that the game is, you need to start listening to feedback, no matter how harsh it is, and just sort through the noise. If you can do that, you have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, it's your fate is in murky waters right now. That being said, what do you think about Highguard? Did you play the game at all? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it has a chance? Or do you think this game is basically on borrowed time? Let us know in the comments. If you like what we do here, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mike with Isaac, and we are saying peace.